Hey y'all, here to vlog about Love and Hip Hop New York Season 3 Episode 4. So we start off the episode with Erica and Olivia meeting up, which I don't understand why. We all know that's going to be drama, but I think Erica called Olivia and at first Erica was like apologetic about the last time they were together or whatever. But Erica just made it known, like we're both we're both artists under Rich, and it's basically like you wash my back, I wash yours or whatever. But Erica is basically like, well, I see Rich always putting stuff on the back burner for you, and you're like his number one priority. And Olivia is basically like, yeah, I come first. It always been that way, and it's always gonna be that way. So I mean, I understand where Olivia is coming from, but at the same time, you don't have no music out. Ain't nobody checking for you because your attitude is nasty. And then Erica just feels like because she's messing with Rich, that she could come and, basically wreck shit and run shit. And Erica, somebody needs to knock her off her high horse real quick. So then we go to Rocky and Jen, and they in the studio. And Jen is explaining to Rocky that the whole, religious clash or whatever that she's going through with Consequence or whatever. And Rocky said that she was raised Muslim. So the whole, Jen and Consequence, them having like, they like clash in religion. Rocky is basically like, in Islam, you basically have to like convert to it. And mostly, and I know firsthand that most of the time the men are Islamic, and the women that they pick to marry like have to convert to their religion. But I mean, I think that's how it's supposed to be, like in general. But it don't always work out that way because one person grows up one way, the other person grows up another way. And of course, you're gonna have like Jen and Cons a clash. So, you know, they should have worked that out way before they had Kaiten. Cause it's like now y'all are bumping heads about it. And Consequence is basically hell bent on like, either you convert to Islam or we gonna have a problem because I ain't gonna compromise with you, which is a bad way to think. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. So then we go to Tahiri and Joe, and they meet up. Joe is in a church reading the Bible. So Tahiri meets up with him, and she's like, you know, suggesting that he go see a therapist and talk about what's going on with him. And Joe is like, why would I go to a stranger and talk about, my business? Like, that's ridiculous. And Tahiri's basically like, well, it's like somebody on the outside looking in could help you with your situation or whatever. So Joe is basically like, well, Tahiri is only telling me this because she still wants me, in her life or whatever. And I'm sitting up there like, fool, y'all still wanna be in each other's life. Y'all still love the shit out of each other. Just get back together, cause y'all are getting on my damn nerves. Like, stop fronting like y'all don't love each other, because if y'all didn't, she wouldn't care so much, and you wouldn't value her opinion so much. So, just get together. Get together already. I hope by the end of this season, at the reunion, they get engaged or something, and his little girlfriend is pushed to the side. I don't know. So, we then go to Jen and Consequence. They're speaking about basically trying to find a common ground with this whole religious thing. And Jen is open to trying to get familiar with the religion, but it's basically like Consequences like, no, my way or the highway, so figure it out. And I don't think it's cool for him to think like that, because if you really wanted somebody, if you really want to be with somebody that shared the same religious views as you you would have picked a Muslim woman to have a baby with, but you didn't. So you can't sit up here and force this girl to follow your lead, and it's like you basically just telling her what to do. The girl grew up as a Protestant. You can't take that away from her. You can't. It's not fair to her. She ain't gonna be happy, and because she's not happy, you're not gonna be happy, and all that's gonna equal to is Caden being unhappy, because what y'all do reflects on your child. It does, and that's what parents fail to realize. You're unhappy, so because you're unhappy, your child is gonna be unhappy. That's not fair to Caden. And both of them are being like, well, they're not both being selfish, because Jen isn't being selfish. Khan's is being selfish. He's not thinking about. He claims he's thinking about Caden and he wants Caden to grow up Islamically, but you're not thinking about the fact that it might not work that way. Y'all have to compromise. And if Jen is unhappy in Islam, then that's going to make Caden unhappy. You don't want that in your house. Trust, you don't want that in your house. So moving right along. So then we go to Rich and Olivia. They on a rooftop and they're discussing the whole argument that they had last episode. And Rich is basically like apologizing, and he's like, I'm sorry I blew up the way I did, whatever. And Olivia is like, okay, now I know something is, off, because we argue, but we don't never yell at each other like that. And we all know that the reason being is Erica. So, Rich is basically like, well, I felt like it would have been a good idea for y'all to get on a record. And Olivia is like, I don't want her on my record. Like, he's like, basically, I'm messing around with Erica, so I thought it would be a good idea for y'all to collab. And Liv is like, no, I don't want to collab with her. You keep your business, keep your personal. And I'm with her. You can't mix business and personal. You can't mix business and friendship. I don't know when these people gonna learn. But I'm with Olivia on this one, because he's too into the fact that he's with Erica. So it's like he got Erica in one ear and he got Olivia in the other. So it's like, but at the same time, Olivia isn't really like a problem. It's just that she doesn't want anything to do with Erica. And I don't blame her. Erica, like Rich said, Erica is a hothead. She's unprofessional. She has a terrible temper. And that's probably why she ain't got nothing now. And add that to the fact that we don't know if that girl got talent or not. From what it looked like on the next episode, we find out. But it don't seem like that girl got talent or not. So, moving on. Now we go to Mendices and Yandy. And they're on their way to the hospital to meet up with Amir's pediatrician, and he's explaining to them that something is wrong with Amir's kidneys, and there's like some type of blockage or something in his kidneys, and if they don't get surgery on it, it could affect him in the long haul. Like if they keep putting off getting him surgery, then it could affect him. And Yandy is like, but he's so little. And I mean, I felt for her at that point, because I have a baby. So it would hurt me to, have to see my son go through surgery or whatever. But if it's for the best and it's going to make my son healthy in the long run, go for it. Like, my whole mindset would be, yeah, he's little and I wish it was me on that table more than it was him. But whatever y'all have to do to keep him healthy, do it. So that would have been, that's my whole mindset. So then we go to Khan's meeting up with Imam Bilal, and I guess it was Khan's and Jen meeting up with Imam Bilal, and Jen, she put on the hijab, and she really did look pretty with the hijab on. So she's meeting up with the Imam, and he's discussing with them. He's basically saying what Jen has been saying for the longest, that they need to compromise. And I mean, it's only right, because you can't have one parent's religion expressed in the household and You know, there's not another religion, you know, because Jin is a Protestant and Khan's is a Muslim. So it has to be both religions somehow, you know, meshed together for Caden so he can know where he comes from. Which is not really hard, but they making it hard because Consequence is just, like I said, he just putting his foot down and basically saying my way or the highway. So they met up and, you know, they met up with the imam and the imam basically told them, y'all have to come to a common ground. Y'all have to compromise for the sake of your son because y'all had him before y'all got married and before, you know, she was converted to Islam, if that's even the road y'all was taking. So this is what you have to do. You have to compromise now. The baby's already here. I'm like, I agree. So we go to Mendices and Yandy. We go back to them, and this is during Amir having his surgery, and you know he's been there for a couple of hours. So Yandy is like distraught because she didn't want to leave him in the hospital. She didn't want to leave his side or whatever. So, you know, she's telling Mendices, you know, my perfect little boy, you know, what if something goes wrong with his surgery and he can't do stuff that other little kids can do? And Mendices is like, you just need to chill. You need to relax. Like, I have faith in them. He's gonna be alright. He's like, you know, what if this problem wasn't corrected? It would affect his health. And I'm like, yeah, you just, with stuff like that, I know it's hard, but you just gotta chill. You just gotta believe that everything is okay. And everything will be okay. So then we go to like one of the most interesting parts of the show. Tahiri, Rashida, Rocky, and Jin. Alright, so Jin is sitting in the club waiting for Rocky to arrive. And you know, Jin is like, well, since I had Caden, I don't really get out much, so me and Rocky gonna hang out. And she said, while I'm waiting, Tahiri shows up with a friend or whatever. So, you know, they meet up, they start talking or whatever, and you know, they introduce each other, and then Rocky comes in. So as soon as Rocky came in, I looked dead at Tahiri's face, and Tahiri was just like, okay. And you know, it seemed like Tahiri would have kept it cool, like she was just gonna chill and you know, wasn't gonna say anything. But when Rocky got there, of course, she had to get flip out the mouth. And what exactly did she say? I forgot what she said, but she made mention of the I guess the pool party or whatever. And you know, Tahiri said something, so then that kind of sort of started like a little bit of an argument. So, you know, Rashida's like, well, how's the whole DJ thing going? And she's discussing the whole, you know, she's discussing the DJ, the whatever she's doing with the whole DJ segment or whatever. And, you know, she says something like, this is a male dominated profession, and you know, they expect for you, she said something like they expect for you to lay on your back or something like that. She said something about laying on their backs or something like that. So I think Tahiri or somebody was like, well, isn't that what you're known for, laying on your back? And you know, Rocky is like, okay, like where did that come from? That has nothing to do with nothing. So you know, Rashida is like, well, you know, we know you as IP, and you know, you're known as, you know, industry pussy. And I'm like, oh Lord. So you know, she's like, oh, okay, so what are you clocking my pussy mileage or whatever? And I'm like, oh my God, these two. So now we go from her and Tahiri arguing to her and Rashida arguing, and you know, Rocky basically called Rashida what we've been calling her for since the season started. She was like, this Ronald McDonald looking bitch and this pleather coat wearing bitch. And I'm like, I can't. So you know, she got up and walked away. She didn't even bother arguing with them anymore. So after the argument, Jen runs out and she's like, no, don't leave. You know, we could still go in, get a drink, whatever, whatever. And Rocky's like, no, bump that. We would just go to my house and get a drink and continue the night or whatever. So I'm like, wow, like that argument was just stupid, but whatever. So then we go back to Mendeecees and Yandy, and now it's after Amir's surgery. From what was said, everything went fine with his surgery. He's okay. It's just that they have to like monitor him real close because he has like tubes, I think, in his kidneys that drains out his urine. I guess he can't, use the bathroom on his own. So he has tubes that drains out his urine. So they have to just monitor that for a few weeks. Then it'll be done, and then he'll be back to normal. So, Yandy's like, yay, I'm so happy. And Mendeecees like, I told you, you had nothing to worry about. So Yandy's like, yeah, I'm sitting up here crying or whatever. And Mendeecees is like, yeah, I cried too. He's like, I tried to, sneak one off, sneak out a tear, be discreet with it, but you caught me. And she like, yep. So she's like, what should we do to celebrate? And he's like, make another baby. And I'm like, seriously? Y'all just went through this with a man. You want to have another baby right now? And on top of that, Yandy is like, I'm not giving him another baby without a ring. And I'm like, understandable, but, it happens. So hopefully, before they have the next child, she get her ring. But she was telling him she wants a house, she wants a wedding. No, she wants a house, she wants a ring, she wants a wedding, and then they could get started on the baby. So Mendeecees is like, yo, chill, just let everything fall into place. Like, what you doing too much. And I'm like, y'all are just both a mess. It ain't nothing to get that girl a ring, but it also has a lot to do with you being ready. So I guess whenever you're ready to marry the girl, you'll marry her. Just don't try and knock her up before you marry her. So then we go to Jen and Rocky, and they're talking about what happened at the club. And Rocky is just basically like, well, I don't know, but she's so worried about me and who I sleep with. Who I sleep with is who I sleep with. Why does it matter to you? Am I sleeping with your man? So, they talking or whatever. And she brought up that she wants to do this radio show with Jen. And she wants Jen to basically be I guess she wants her to have her own segment or whatever, but Jen gotta be real and raw with it. So Jen is like, well, I haven't really done too much of that since I had Caden. And she's like, I'm not even gonna bring this to Khan's attention right now because right now he's so used to me being at home with Caden. And I'm like, well, at some point you do have to go back to work for yourself. Like, you do have to have your own income, because if you keep depending on him, you're not gonna have anything. So it might be wise to just do this. Like, tell him that's what you was doing before you had the baby, so you got to get back into the groove for your own sanity. So hopefully that'll work out, whatever. So then we go to Joe and Tahiri, and Tahiri brings Joe a drug test, like an at-home drug test, wrapped in some like gift paper, I guess. And Joe was like, no, I'm not taking this test. So Tahiri's like, well, if you have nothing to hide, you would take the test, no problem. And he's like, no, Tahiri was like, if I wasn't doing drugs, I would take the test, no problem. He's like, okay, so why don't you do it? She said, I'm not the one using. He said, neither am I, so why do I have to take it? And she's like, you just need to take the test to prove to me that, you're not using. So he did it. The results came back negative, but before he took the test, they made a bet on food. They said something about if the test is negative, she has to take him out to eat or something like that. So test came back negative, and he told her what he wanted to eat, and he had the cup that he peed in. He had it in his hand covered, and he said, here, put the piss in the Louis. I died when he said that. I'm like, that is so nasty. So then the last scene we go to is Erica and Rich meeting up, and they were waiting for another, I think, producer, with tracks or whatever, to come to the studio. So Rich is like, I think he got a phone call from the guy, like right before Erica walked in. And the guy's like, well, I'm not coming. So he explained why he's not coming. So when Erica came in, Rich is like, well, such and such ain't coming because he said he met up with you and he let you listen to the tracks, and you told him that the tracks well, whack. And she's like, yeah, I did. So? And he's like, well, why would you do that? She's like, well, he asked me my opinion and I told him that they were corny. And he's like, basically, he's like, okay, now I see what Olivia is talking about. Like, you just getting beside yourself. And, you know, she was like, well, he asked me my opinion. He was like, yeah, instead of saying that it was whack, you should have been like, okay, they're cool, but, which is more of a professional way to deal with things. First of all, we all know Erica Mena does not need to be anybody's employee, anybody's artist, because I remember seeing her on Courtney and Chloe Take Miami, and I missed the episode, but I remember hearing or reading up on when she was working at Dash Miami, Courtney fired her. And I saw a couple of episodes with her, and she was just like, she was a bitch then. So it's like she don't like taking orders from nobody. She don't like people telling her what to do. But at the same time, you don't like for people to tell you what to do, but you ain't getting nowhere. So you need to keep your mouth shut. Like, and if you're gonna, you know, talk or whatever, you don't have to be so nasty, hot-headed, and unprofessional about it. There's ways of going about things with, like, you. There's ways to go about things in a professional manner. And Erica is I don't get it. I don't get it with her. Like, I don't even know why anybody would want to work with her. But also, somebody on my Facebook pointed out that every time Erica is leaving from somewhere in an argument, that she always hopping in a cab. I died. They was like, she always in a cab. And I'm like, yeah, every time she leaving somebody, like a confrontation, she is always hopping in a cab. I died when they said that, but her and Rich was going back and forth before she got in the cab. And Rich was like, well, good luck with your career, and good luck with this, and good luck with that. And she's like, oh, thank you, or whatever. So we'll see what happens next episode. Next episode, it looks like we finally gonna hear something from her in the studio. And we just gonna see like more of what's going on, like what's gonna happen. So I'll be back tomorrow to do more reviews. So Starter Wives Confidential come on tomorrow, so I'm definitely gonna do that. But I see with Tuesday, since so many shows come on, I'm gonna have to stretch it out. So I'm gonna have to do different vlogs on different days, but I'll get them out there. I know I missed the first 2 episodes of Real Husbands of Hollywood. Well, I missed the reviews for it, so I'm gonna try and do those. I'm gonna try and watch Second Generation Wayans, because I don't even understand what's going on in that show, but I'll watch it anyway. I'm gonna do Starter Wives Confidential. I'm gonna continue Snooki and JWoww and the Sisterhood and BGC Atlanta, because I missed last week's vlogging. So, like I said, a lot went on last week. My son was sick, so I had to push everything back. But I'll catch up. So I'll see y'all tomorrow.